So this guy just said he wanted to murder our baby as we were walking past, and now they're gonna put him under arrest. He said, "I'm gonna murder your wife and baby."
Yeah, he literally said that. This guy right there, when we're walking past.
So we're gonna press charges.
He said he wanted to our white baby. How sick can people be? This is disgusting. I'm completely outraged. You can't even walk down the streets of Washington, D.C. without people acting like this. Thank God we reported it to the police and they're dealing with the guy. I cannot believe this right now. Don't bring your kids down here. It's not safe.
Don't bring your kids to D.C.
Not safe at all.
Last night, while heading home from Joe's Seafood on 1500 Pennsylvania Avenue, 1 block from the White House, a black man approached my wife and my baby and I and said, "I'm gonna your white girl. I'm gonna your effing white baby." And he repeated it many times, and then he continued to call my wife a white B-word multiple times. And I had half a mind to stomp his head in, but instead I went to the Secret Service, which was a block away from us, and I told them what he had said. The man was subsequently arrested, and he has now been brought on charges by the U.S. Attorney General's office, felony charges for felony threats and hate and bias crime.
And also, we found out later that he had a knife in his pocket, so that was extremely terrifying.
So this is unbelievable. This shouldn't be happening in the capital of the United States of America. Families like ours should feel safe. We have 5 other children at home that were with grandma luckily that night. We're not even from here, we're from Iowa. And to have to suffer that after losing our friend Charlie Kirk, who I worked for, and then this, it's unbelievable. And America, you need to do better. Racism, reverse racism, it's all wrong, it's all evil. Turn to Jesus, believe the gospel, repent of your sins, be renewed in your mind, in your thinking. Love one another, love your neighbor as yourself, as Jesus commands. We need to seek God. This is not acceptable.
Yeah.
So you're going to charge it as hate bias. Okay.
Yeah.
And then,
so these will be felony threats with a hate bias enhancement. And so what that does is that changes the possibility, the way we, the possibility of sentencing, the kind of plea that's given, plea offer. But I don't have any knowledge of a violent history. Not at this time, but let me actually take 1 second. I would have to do some digging into his history in order to be able to answer.
You might have to do a little research because you got about an hour and a half, and if this guy is a violent offender, hold on, Barb. You don't have to give us any information, but if this guy is a violent offender and there is some legal precedent to hold him, then he needs to be held because he could be a danger to the public, and he could go and stab some baby. He could kill some baby. You know, that's not safe to have people like that are that unhinged on the streets in our capital city of the United States of America.
A block from the
block from the White House. We were on 1500 Pennsylvania. That's insane.
I do not. I would love to have a conversation with you about it, but I honestly cannot. And like I said, if I have a legal basis to ask for him to be held, I will ask for him to be held. At this time, I don't know of a legal basis for me to ask for him to be held.
Well,
which means the court doesn't have a legal basis to hold.
Well, Barb, do some digging. That's all I'm going to say, because if he gets out and he does something, I swear this is going to be very bad for everybody. Very bad for everybody. It's not going to be good for the district. It's not going to be good for the U.S. Attorney's Office. It's not going to be good. It's going to be national public television. Everybody's going to know about it. I literally know President Trump personally. It's not a good situation. I shouldn't have to feel like my wife is going to be that my baby's going to be and then some violent offender gets released back on the streets of Washington, D.C.
And we don't even know his criminal background.
We don't know. We don't know who we're dealing with here, so we don't feel safe.
What if it's the same thing like the guy in North Carolina where they let him out 14 times, and then he goes and somebody. That guy should not have been on the streets, and I don't think this person should be on the streets either.
Listen, you seem like a really nice lady, Barb, and I know there's more that you guys can do. So I'm hoping that you guys will figure out something.
I mean, even a mental asylum, like, is there a mental hospital he can go to or something?
Or a homeless shelter or something. Something to keep him away from people.
I hear you.
So this is what the guy wrote specifically on his account. Guys, this is why the Ukrainian girl was unalived. A black man tried to take the life of my wife and my baby, and his motive was because they're white. He was taken into custody by the United States Secret Service outside the White House and has now been released. Like and share with everyone you know. We need to change the laws. If this was the other way around, we see international protests and media coverage for a year. But because it was a black man doing this to whites, the media is silent. White people are now the minority race of the world. Before World War II, we were 30% of the global population under the Soviet Union. 60 million white people had their lives taken. Today, we are marginalized and suffer bigotry and racism, and we are suffering due to DEI and liberal terrorists. Last week, Charlie Kirk was assassinated for simply being open to dialogue and the exchange of ideals. That is democracy, but he was silenced by anti-democratic Marxists. White people make up only 7% of the global population. This is one of many reasons we now have 6 children. It's time that we stand up for ourselves if the law and government won't. Follow, like, and share to stay updated on the process. I just want to say that there's a variety of things that took place within the 3 videos that should be noted. But before we get there, I do want to note that within what we were able to read right there, there were a lot of keywords there. Number one, they wanted to bring up the whole DEI, aka woke. Number two, they wanted to blame the left. They wanted to blame the Democrats, right? Then the other thing that he wanted to make sure to bring up to try to bring this comparison to put it into reality, right? He wanted to tie up 2 things. Number one, he wanted to bring in the story about the Ukrainian girl who ended up losing her life to a black guy on a bus. I want to specify and make sure that everybody knows that the mother of the guy is not asking for him to be freed. She's not saying that her son is innocent. She simply came out and stated that he did what he did, and the reason he was able to do it was because the system failed. He should have never been out on the streets. He should have gotten the help that he should have been able to get, but the system opted not to do that, which led to the incident that we saw, or that we at least know about at this moment in time. And at no point in time has the mother come out online and excused what her son did. Right. So I just want to get that directly straight through, because a lot of people like to go off on these tangents and these what ifs and all this other type of stuff. Right. So we already know that that guy is a murderer. We already know that that guy is behind bars. Right. OK, cool. So now we go from that to him trying to link that up with his family as if that was going to somehow take place, when, again, nothing out there showed that that was going to happen or whatnot or whatever. Right, the police pretty much, or whoever was there, pretty much quick, fast, and in a hurry, had him directly in custody, in handcuffs or whatnot or whatever, and they were simply across the street. And again, I just want to list that if you are as afraid as you stated directly in the video or whatnot or whatever, then obviously your reaction would be drastically different. The main thing that you would want to do is to make sure to get your wife and your child directly out of there. They should actually be directly in the car, but for whatever reason, you guys are still out there on the streets, the same streets of which you said that you were being threatened. Well, number one, it was just purely just the child being threatened, right? And then in the next video, he wanted to state that, oh, well, it was my wife and the child, or how it is that he wanted to sit up and frame it. So the story started to move to something else, right? To highlight something else. And I also want to highlight to a lot of people that the guy there has the main Captain America 1940-ish, type of look. If you know, you know. I shouldn't have to explain at this moment in time, because again, he wanted to bring up the Soviet Union. So again, that should give you some obvious things directly right there on some of the things that he's leaning directly towards. Right, they were in this magical garage. I'm not sure where they were located, and they wanted to do this video for whatever reason. Towards the end of the video, somewhere near the end of the video, the wife had like a weird smirk directly on her face, which didn't make any type of sense. I'm a little bit baffled and confused. If you're talking about a story that emotionally has you a certain type of way, where your life was threatened, where anything and everything could have happened, I don't think that at a moment in time like this that you would actually decide to smile. And I'm not trying to hear nobody tell me that, oh, that was just like a nervous smile. Why would you be nervous? Your whole family is directly right there, right? He stated that he decided to also have 6 kids, right? So you guys are pretty much safe and sound in the parking lot structure, I guess, that you're in, because that's where you decided to do the video, because again, you felt safe and sound. But even still, with that, in the retelling of the story, I don't think that that would be a reaction that a normal woman would have if her child and her, just the life in general was in a sense threatened by some strange black guy directly on the streets. And then the third video, the last video, and I want to point out the fact that the guy was doing something very illegal, which was driving. And I'm like, you're talking to 911 or whoever it is, and you're driving and you have the hand on your phone, but you don't have your hand on the steering wheel. I don't understand what's going on here. And you should be arrested or have a ticket at least, because more than likely you got your child in the car. You're endangering every single person in that car at this moment in time because of the reckless behavior that you are performing at this moment. I just want to sit up there and point that out, because I think that a lot of things get past a lot of people, right? So that also shows a reckless abandonment in a sense, because he's not specifically doing what drivers should be doing. So within the phone call that they were having, he was really trying to press the issue of, oh, this was really a hateful, type of thing. If I would have, done this, and if I would have done that, then yada, yada, yada. And I also want to note from the first video that, the first or the second video that they were doing, he wants to also bring up the whole thing of Charlie Kirk. And I'm like, it's like, do you know how insane that you have to be to decide that you want to try to find a way to get a type of celebrity or profit directly off of this? Because he made specifically sure to note the restaurant, to note the street, to say the fact that he was near the White House, right down the street, however it is that he wanted to sit up there and frame it. They wanted to make sure to say that, oh, DC is not safe. Don't bring your family, your kids here. Don't visit here, and this, that, and the third. Because if you're like me and white, then obviously this same thing that happened to us can easily happen to you. And then you want to try to tie in the whole Charlie Kirk situation directly in this, but it doesn't have to do with anybody being black. I'm a little bit confused. Like, do people not pay attention? Is it just that easy to trigger a lot of people with just trying to ramble on and talk and say this and that, and then you're trying to get some type of sympathy points or whatnot, because you want to keep showing the child directly in the video? And I'm pretty sure if the child was able to be shown directly in the car as he was driving, he would have done just that for a trifecta. Like I said before, all of this is very weird to me. That's all I'm saying. It's just very weird to me, and it's just very odd that the moment in time within the same time frame of the whole thing dealing with Charlie Kirk takes place, magically this happens. Say that that was your dear friend Charlie Kirk, right? You worked for him, you linked up with him before. You wanted to sit up there and say that you also know President Trump personally, as if you're trying to put some type of pressure on the people. Like, oh, well, if you don't do what you should be done, or what we think should be done, then I'm going to sit up there and call President Trump on the phone, and you're potentially going to lose your job and all this other. Come on. I thought you were about religion. I thought you were about, giving everything over to God, things that are bigger than you, right? I thought this was the moment that God basically protected you and your family. But it seems as though that when you're in the car and you're trying to push this certain type of narrative, and either the 911 operator or the cop, whoever it is that you're talking, she wasn't trying to go for any of that nonsense. It seemed to have frustrated you quite a bit because things weren't leaning in the direction that you specifically wanted them to be going, or how it is that you're trying to frame and paint this type of picture. And then once that wasn't really working and you try to press again, then in comes your wife, and she's up there like, oh, well, our lives were in danger, and this, that, and the third, and we don't know anything about this guy, and shouldn't you put him in some type of this and some type of that? And again, I'm just going to simply say, like, where was all of this energy when it dealt with the other situation? Where was all of this type of energy when it dealt with the other situation? Like I said, I find it very interesting how people will have, such a type of energy when it deals with certain things. Because go back to the first video, dude was like, you know what? He said such and such about my wife, and I just wanted to, stump his head on the curb, but I didn't. I decided to go to the Secret Service. But you didn't also call 911? Y'all, you didn't call 911 and then also go to the Secret Service so that you got a record of everything that is taking place? And then I find it also interesting that he decided that he wanted to cut off the video when the guy was, in a sense, talking. I find that very odd. Usually, in most cases, people will allow the record to show who a person actually is. But for you to basically cut that and then carry on to the next part of the exact same area of the guy being arrested and being held, that's a little bit weird to me. It's a little bit weird that you wanted to cut that off. I felt as though that should have been able to play, right? Because there's two sides to every story. And the only thing that we're learning here is that you got 3 videos of a white religious family that stated that a scary old black man on the streets of DC was threatening their lives. But yet when the scary black man was about to talk and basically say something or anything, you decided to cut that directly off. And again, that's a little bit weird to me. I'm highly confused. A little bit weird. The other thing that I find also weird as well too is that the whole thing of him being religious and trying to state to people when they were in the garage that, oh, you need to, you guys need to give yourselves over to God, and this, that, and the third, and all this other type of stuff, and da-da-da, right? Usually these religious folks are the main ones to try to really preach forgiveness, right? And that everybody deserves a second chance and all this other type of stuff. But that's not what I'm hearing in the video. You're going to directly, automatically press charges directly on a guy, not even giving him a second chance. Maybe he was on drugs. Maybe he was having an off day. Maybe he didn't specifically have his meds. Maybe he got into an argument with somebody else, and then indirectly or by proximity, you ended up getting the bad end of the stick of that argument, of which he should have had one. There's a multitude of things that could have transpired and happened, which would have led to the supposed incident of supposedly this guy saying that he wanted to harm them and do this and do that, right? But I don't hear that type of forgiveness. But mind you, if this was the black community, there's always a type of forgiveness there. There's always magically this type of love, historically speaking, right? No matter what has transpired and taken place to black people in the black community, we've always forgiven white folks. We've always preached a type of thing where it's like, God forgives. We're going to allow God to judge this person. And, whatever happens is whatever happens. But we are not going to be that arm of violence to go against this hate or this rhetoric or all this other type of stuff that these people are trying to, right? It's usually that type of thing. And I find it interesting that supposedly when the shoe is on the other foot, and again, I'm going to say supposedly, that exact same forgiveness, that exact same grace, that exact same thing that black people in America have been doing for generations. Matter of fact, the things that we have been taught, that we've been indoctrinated into, it's funny how those same people don't want to use those talking points. It's amazing. And again, I want a lot of black folks out there to realize and understand that past this point that we're making it past at this moment in time, you're going to have a lot of stories out there. You're going to have a lot of things that are going to work on pressing your buttons. That's going to work on trying to catch you and get you emotional so that you can feel a certain type of way, so that they can control that emotion and guide you to a fixed point that they need you to be at in order for them to do things that they specifically want you and need you to specifically do. So this is when I tell a lot of black folks out there, you got to stay calm. You got to stay aware. You have to stay logical. You cannot be emotional. Right. And I know that's very difficult to do. So what I'm saying is minimize as much emotion as possible. And, you know, don't allow the other folks out there to have control over your full being, over your full energy, over your full mind and everything of that. Don't allow somebody to lead you into a burning hallway where there's only one way out and you're forced to fight a situation of which you weren't even trying to be in or even fight directly in. Right. But anyways, let me know. I'm going to, you know, keep you guys up to date with the story and see what will transpire, what will happen directly with it. But let me know what you guys think about this in the comment description below, amongst everything that I said and some of the things that I read off directly to you in the comment description below. And as always, peace, love, and stay tuned for the next video.